last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, me too.
It has been too long.
Yeah, it's been very long. I remember when the president ordered the public schools to go home. The next day, the principal of the private school where I work also sent us home. So it's been a couple of weeks now, I think.
And now, yesterday, my kids' teachers dismissed all the homework because they sent the documents through PDF files, and the parents were complaining that they need to go outside to print it. So they decided to avoid all those as- uh, asignaciones,
Yeah, those assignments.
assignments. But I am going to make them do that anyway because we are going to end up crazy.
Yeah, they need to do something.
Yes.
They need to keep their minds busy. Hello,
We,
Erica.
Hello, hello everybody.
Welcome.
hi.
Thank you.
All right. So what were you saying, Jesse? What about your kids?
No, no. That we are all going to be crazy because I was thinking that even though I was deciding or wishing to have more time to read, for example, now I get bored of reading.
Yeah.
Is the thing of the life. We are never happy with what we have.
Yeah, never satisfied.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, you can always look for ideas on the internet on how to spend time at home, maybe play some games or board games with your family. I don't know, watch some series on TV. I know you might be tired of that also, but it is what it is. What about you, Erica? How are you enjoying this quarantine?
Ah, normal, as always at home. Uh, we we have been in quarantine since um, 12 March. In this country, we we hit first with the coronavirus, and we have been in quarantine more days. We have 2 weeks in quarantine,
Hmm.
and we are going 2 weeks more. We finish in 12 April.
Hmm.
The quarantine, maybe
And where do you live now?
in Kuwait, in the
Ah,
Middle East.
yeah. I remember you from a course we had together.
Yes.
Yeah. Always
Which course?
because, Kuwait is not a very common city to see
Uh
on
huh.
the uh, on the on the covers of the documents that we present to UNAD. So I remember we had a course together somewhere
Yes,
in my
yes,
career.
yes. I remember you. Yes.
Yeah, good
Yes.
student.
Thank you.
It was nice to work with you. Sometimes the collaborative works are a nightmare for everybody. Some students just pretend to pass the whole career doing nothing, just sticking to the others and see what they do for them.
Yes. Sometimes it's not easy, but the most important is that you do your work with conscience and and enjoy and
Correct.
be responsible with your duties.
Yeah, of course. When I was like in the first semester and second semester, I usually got mad with my classmates when they did that. But then when I understood that it was me, the one in charge of my own process, and that I shouldn't worry about
Mm-hmm.
the others and try to, like bear with them as long as they want to collaborate or not. When I understood that, I had a better life. So I
Yes,
started moving out.
it's better. It's better. Yeah, it's true.
Okay,
Really.
we are going to start this grammar time with a topic that is kind of tricky. I would say tricky because in English we normally depend on the use of the language that is taking place in native countries. That means this way to use the words is uh, changing all the time, especially in the native countries. So you will see that even though there are rules for using the gradable and non-gradable adjectives, and the native speakers nonetheless use them sometimes in a different way. And even if we use them grammatically correct, we may sound non-native for them. It's the same as when one of those gringos learn how to speak Spanish and they start telling us something, we immediately identify the mistakes they are making in their use of Spanish because we are natives. So it's easy for us to understand and to get all those mistakes. It's the same for American or English speakers to identify our mistakes in these kind of topics. So can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can
Okay,
see.
so it's gradable and ungradable adjectives, and it's a matter of strength. If we want to make them strong or weak, we are going to use modifiers. We are talking about
Mhm.
adjectives. So as you know, adjectives are words that make us know characteristics or features of a noun. It could be a person, an animal, or idea. Yes. So with these gradable and non-gradable adjectives, we are going to modify the nouns in a certain degree at to some levels. So with these adjectives, we're going to learn how to give adjectives strength or weakness. Most adjectives are gradable. This means we can have different levels of that quality. Mm, Do any of those adjectives come to your mind? Jesse, for example, can you tell me, uh, can you guess a gradable adjective?
Um, happy, happiness.
Happy. Okay, so we can say somebody is happy, very happy, or extremely happy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so it's a gradable adjective. We can say happy, but we can also add different levels of happiness to it. What about you, Erica? Can you think of a gradable adjective?
Mm, beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah, so can be more beautiful. It can be very beautiful. It can be extremely beautiful. Yeah, so
Yes.
those are gradable adjectives. Adjectives or qualities that can be given some levels, some uh, grades, some shades to the word. For example,
Mhm.
you can be a bit cold, very cold, or extremely. We can make them weaker or stronger with modifiers. I will show you what modifiers are and a small list of them a little bit later in this presentation. So let's continue with some examples. She was quite angry when she found out the film we saw last night was really funny. It can be extremely cold in Russia in the winter. As you see, we have adjectives like angry, funny, and cold. And we are using modifiers like quite, really, and extremely. We are
Uh-huh.
using those modifiers to make the adjectives stronger or weaker. In this case, quite is the least strong of the three modifiers that we are using. So if we want to make it extreme, we take the modifiers really and extremely. And if we want to say that it's more than angry, but not as much as really angry, so we say quite. Quite is like the youngest brother of the modifiers that increase the meaning. Is it easy to understand?
Yes, yes,
Sometimes
yes,
I
I
use
understand.
weird examples. So yeah, look at this quite modifier as the younger brother. Yeah, he's strong, but not very strong. Not as strong as really or extremely. Then we have these modifiers and adjectives. So you see the adjectives here, they are all gradable, and these are the modifiers that we can use with them. A little bit, a little, sorry, a bit, pretty, or quite. They are both strong, but not too strong. Really and very are very strong, but extremely is the strongest of all the modifiers. So we can say a little angry or a bit angry, pretty boring or quite boring, really expensive or very expensive, extremely funny. When you see these adjectives here, is there any there that you don't know the meaning of? Angry, big, boring, cheap. Are they all known by you?
Yes,
Okay.
for me, there.
What? Well, I think there is a little bit delay on the communication. I can hear myself on the microphone of something there. Are you listening to me right now? Can you hear me okay?
I am
Yes,
listening, but yes, I hear you
I
that I'm
listen to
talking.
you.
All
Yes, I
right.
listen to you. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. It's because maybe the communication was a little bit, slow at certain
Yes.
moments. Um, okay. So I was asking you if all these adjectives are known, because here is, for example, frightening. Is it mm, is it known by you? Do you know this adjective, frightening?
Yes,
Mm,
I do.
Okay.
no.
No. Okay.
What's the meaning? What's the meaning?
Frightening is scary. It's a synonym
Okay.
of scary.
Ah, okay.
So whenever you want to say something scary or that produce fear in you, you can say that's frightening.
Like coronavirus, right?
Yeah, it's a frightening situation right now.
Ah,
Not,
yes.
I would say not only because of the infection itself. I would say because the people tend to lose control
Mm-hmm.
because of panic. I was checking like the most frightening uh, news yesterday was when I saw a video of a hypermarket in Mexico, in
Ah,
Veracruz, if
yes.
I'm not. The people was breaking the glasses and stealing things. What that's what makes me feel more afraid right now. It's the most
Mhm.
frightening thing when
So,
people, because of panic, start losing
panic.
control and
Mhm.
attacking others for stupid things.
Yes, very
That
stupid.
is already happening in Bogota. I heard about two, one in Soacha and the other I don't know where exactly,
Oh
but
my
they
God.
were, yes.
Yeah, that really scared me. That's the scariest part of these things. I really hope God saves us from all this mess. In
Yes.
moments like this, it's like faith is the only resource available. You feel so like lonely in this world. But well, we have to trust in the good faith of people, in the good behavior of people, and see that mm, not all of us are bad people or opportunists to try and steal things from the others. We have to keep our families safe.
Yes.
This is a problem in our country. It's a big problem
Yeah.
because the people see the situation as an opportunity to do bad things. This is it's not good. This is a bad. This is a this behavior is in uh, our brain, in our cultural behavior. It's bad.
Yeah. So it's like we can use an expression for this, and it's the people does bad things in moments like this because they can get away with it.
because
So if
because
they can get away with what they do. When we say get away with that, it's like you can escape the situation without
uh-huh.
consequences.
Okay, yes.
So many of these bad people thinks they can, many of these people think they can do bad things and get away with them.
Okay, yes.
So yeah, it's an expression that I wouldn't like to be using right now, but yeah, that's what's happening in the minds of these people. They they
Mm.
they think they can get away with things, and that's why they do it.
It's a shame.
And it's
Yeah, it's a shame.
not only the people that wants to make damage. It's not that people is going out to see what they can store. It's people. I saw a video yesterday. They just feel that they can control everything, and they are going outside to walk only to show the people that they can do that, even though we don't have the permitted to go outside.
Yeah, they are trying to show that they are stronger than the rules. Huh.
Yeah.
No, it's everybody's like a child, like a baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, no, no.
yeah, they don't know about behavior and manners.
Mm.
Sometimes it's like
Exactly.
we we actually identify there that our education system it must be more powerful on not on the knowledge or on the things that we teach from the academic branches, but on the culture, on the respect, on the values. There's where our education needs more reinforcement.
Yes, I'm according with you.
Yes.
Well,
Yes,
you can say to express agreement, you can say I agree.
I
I
agree.
agree.
Sorry, I agree. No, I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yes,
You know
yes.
that
Thank you.
normally when we are talking, I don't like to make many corrections because I think for learners that cuts the process of communication. That's why I don't correct a lot when we are talking. But whenever I identify some mistakes that require a correction and it can't wait, I will let you know. But normally I won't correct you all the time when we are speaking. So don't
Please
worry.
let me know. No, please
And
let me know. Let me know.
I
Yes,
appreciate also those corrections.
yes.
Okay, pretty good. I will do then, but after you finish your ideas, because sometimes whenever you are expressing an idea and another person corrects you, it's like, oh, I forgot what I was saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
no
Okay, so we
problem.
are we are going to move on this presentation to non-gradable adjectives. They don't have any levels. For example, something can't be a bit finished or very finished. Yeah, it's like what in Spanish we said adecuado. Something cannot be muy adecuado o menos adecuado. Cuando las personas utilizan la palabra adecuado de esa manera, pues la están utilizando mal. Adecuado es un adjetivo absoluto, entonces no tiene niveles. Nonetheless, in the English language, we use some modifiers to make it even a little bit stronger or more powerful if the case requires it. So again, checking this idea very quickly, something can be a bit finished or very finished, or an animal can be a bit dead or very dead. These adjectives describe absolute qualities. Yeah. For example, we use absolutely, totally, or completely if we want to make those adjectives a little stronger. With these absolute adjectives, we can't use all the modifiers that we were seeing with the gradable adjectives. Yeah, so a bit, quite, and all those other modifiers cannot be used in these with these adjectives, with the absolute ones or the extreme ones. Let me show you some examples. Thank you, I love it. It's absolutely perfect. Their farm was totally destroyed by a tornado. We know that destroyed and perfect are absolute. They don't have any
Mhm.
levels. Nonetheless, to make them even stronger, we use the words absolutely, totally, and completely. My work is completely finished. Now I can relax. So those are some examples. We are going to see a very nice page with comics about this. I found it marvelous to explain these things because only talking about the rules, it might be confusing. So don't worry, we will bring some more material and we are going to make a couple quizzes to see if we understood. And I will share with you all these sources of information that I use for the presentation.
Okay. But David,
Yes,
in this example, my work is completely finished. This is, sounds like I don't know the name, redundancy,
redundant.
complete redundance,
Yeah,
redundance, because completely is finished.
yeah,
Finished, no, and finished
yeah,
it's
of course.
completely. It's
Yeah, of
not
course, you are right. Nonetheless, as I was telling you, sometimes the words go together because the native speakers start using them very often. So it's kind of accepted by the language authorities due to the constant use the native speakers make of this. So I know it
Mhm.
sounds redundant, but nonetheless is correct because the people use it. We will see that kind of explanation in one page that I will show you a little bit later. But yeah, of course, for example, absolutely perfect. Can something be
Maybe,
less
huh?
perfect? So yeah, that's what we are saying. Nonetheless, they are non-gradable adjectives. We still have some modifiers if we want to make an emphasis on the
Mhm.
quality.
Okay, only emphasis.
Yeah, it's to make an
Emphasis.
emphasis to give it a little strength.
Okay.
Now we have, well, the British Council makes a difference between extreme and absolute uh, adjectives. Other pages I found they don't make any difference between absolute and extreme adjectives. So we will just stick to the information that we consider better, mm, even though it's like the same. We just have to make sure that we use the correct modifiers. It says here, adjectives like amazing, awful, and boiling are also non-gradable, but they are extreme. They already contain the idea of very in their definitions. To make extreme adjectives stronger, we have to use absolutely or really. In this case, for example, the modifiers that we use with absolute adjectives, there are a couple that won't work, but I will show you the chart in the next slide. So we just have to remember that for extreme adjectives like amazing, awful, boiling, and others that I will show you a little bit later, we use absolutely or really. Here we
Okay.
have the first chart, which says modifiers and adjectives. This is for absolute adjectives. And the one down is modifiers and adjectives. These are extreme. So extreme, absolute. Okay, so modifiers for absolute adjectives are absolutely, totally, and completely. And the adjectives that some of the adjectives that are absolute are acceptable, dead, destroyed, finished, free, impossible, necessary, perfect, ruined, unacceptable, and others that we might find in lists over the internet. Then extreme adjectives are the modifiers for them are absolutely and really. We see that totally and completely are not used with extreme ones. Extreme adjectives like amazing, ancient. Do you know what ancient means?
Yes.
Yeah, like very old.
Antiguo.
Yes,
Antiguo,
correct.
viejo. Ajá,
Awful, boiling,
ajá.
delicious, enormous, excellent, exhausted, fascinating, freezing, gorgeous. Do you know what gorgeous is?
So beautiful, so
Correct.
handsome.
Correct. Very good. Your vocabulary is amazing. Keep it up.
No, amazing, no, amazing. No. No.
Terrible, terrifying, tiny. What is tiny?
Something really, really small.
Oh my, my God. You are so good at vocabulary. These girls are amazing. Yeah, tiny is really small. It's an
Small.
extreme adjective of small. So what is the main point of all these gradable, non-gradable adjectives is to start using synonyms, to start using different words when we want to describe the properties or the qualities of a person or a noun in general. Sometimes we start using the same adjectives over and over, and our English looks limited. So we have to start using synonyms, more adjectives to give color to our speech, to sound
Uh-huh.
like a person who has a bigger background, a
Uh-huh.
larger vocabulary bank. Yeah, so
Yes,
when
of
something is
course.
extremely little, we are not going to say, oh, it's very little. We can say, oh, it's tiny.
Mm-hmm.
I know sometimes for us, it's difficult to start using these words because we think we have to use easy to understand words to be able to be understood by others. But don't be afraid. As well as you, Erika and Jesse, know the meaning of tiny, I was assuming that you might not know, but you knew. So don't be afraid to use those words in front of others because they might know them too and make the communication a little more colorful.
Uh-huh.
Right. So
Okay.
this is the challenge. Try to pass the quiz 1 and 2 of the British Council with at least 60% each. And I put that cat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ooh. Well, let's see if we can do it. I know the explanation might be a little too long, but let's try. So